Hello and welcome again to another Mayor's Update Show. I'm Mayor John Testa, and we're joining you here, taping this update just after Christmas time, just before the New Year celebration in a couple of days. And hopefully all of you had a great holiday season, and you're now digesting all that food that you had over the last week or so and ready for the new year. The first item I'd like to talk about today is just again a little update on the fire that took place on December 6th out on East Main Street at the Peekskill Shopping Plaza there. And Fire Chief Howard joined me earlier today to just do a little update. So let's go to that right now, please. Hello, and again, welcome. I want to welcome Fire Chief Howard. Jim, thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure, Mayor.
As we all know, on December 6th was a pretty big fire here in the city of Peekskill, and you were kind enough to come into the council last week and give us an update. And I just wanted the people of Peekskill to know that everything went according to the procedure that we normally have here in the city. The fire department, the volunteers were exceptional in their response within 2 minutes, exceptional in the way they carried out, and the way you and your two assistant chiefs, Pappas and Varela, carried out their positions as well, and all the help we got that night. So why don't you just give a little overview of who helped us that evening at the fire on Main Street we're talking about at the Peekskill Shopping Center.
On December 6th, it was a tremendous effort by many agencies within the city and also our surrounding areas. We had help from every community that touches Peekskill, and as far away as Ossining, Mayapack Falls, Mayapack. Because of the scope of the endeavor, it was almost a 12-hour operation. Manpower had to be brought in to assist with the manpower that we had. We had over 70 Peekskill firefighters alone. The total was over 175. The operation from the beginning, because of the early start that it had, became massive right from the beginning. And all resources that are available to us, which we have a mutual aid plan with the County of Westchester, and they get together and they know the resources that are available, and when we call for them, they can get them to us very quickly.
Everyone did an outstanding job, and it was one of those incidences where for some reason there was a media frenzy over it, and we had a lot of coverage of it. I've gotten calls from people who I know in California and everywhere who have seen the coverage. We had a press conference, and you did a great job of explaining it at the time. And it was very tough conditions as well. It was rainy, it was a lousy weather, it was cold, and everybody came together. And I just want to thank our fire department, our volunteers, our career guys who were part of it. Did an excellent job. I want to thank you and the chiefs also for everything you do on a day-to-day basis. And it was just a tremendous response. And unfortunately, you know, you hope to save structures when these kind of things happen. But as you said, it was probably underway for a little bit of time before we found out about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We feel about an hour and a half, at least, since the last business had closed. And due to the construction, it had a very, very advanced head start that had to do primarily with the outcome.
And it's important also to point out that it's been determined when these things happen, there are fire investigators who come, spend a lot of time in detail with where they think the source of the fire was, what they think the cause was, and they've determined this to be a non-suspicious incident. Absolutely,
beyond any shadow of a doubt. It is accidental in origin. The team that we use is the Westchester County Cause and Origin Team Zone 4. They're comprised of firefighters and police officers that go through special training, and they get called to scenes of fires, and they will methodically and mechanically take a building apart to get to the root of the fire. They rule out every piece of equipment and right down to where they can say beyond a shadow of a doubt what the cause was, and they have determined that this was absolutely accidental.
Yeah. And it's important for people to know that as we go into what's going to happen in the next stage. We've set up within City Hall here. Our staff has come together tremendously to help those businesses. Nobody was hurt in the incident, which is paramount to us. And now we can help these businesses move forward. The owner of the shopping center will have to decide, and I'm sure they're working with their insurance company as we speak, determining what they're going to do in the future. And we'll work with them no matter what. We'll work with those businesses no matter what. And again, I want to thank you for everything you do, and we're going to look forward to 2005 to be one of those years fire-free, hopefully.
I would love to see it.
Thank you
Mayor.
very much for
your
everything.
help.
Happy
We
New Year to
appreciate
you.
You too.
I want to thank Chief Howard and all his expertise, and Assistant Chiefs Pappas and Varela again for all they've done. And if you are watching Government Channel on a regular basis, you'll see the entirety of the update that he gave us at the council a week ago. So you can get a more detailed update if you look out for that show. I'd like to spend a little time on the waterfront in this update. For those of you who may not know, we are moving forward with the Waterfront Redevelopment Plan. We've talked a lot about it. It's been 8 or 9 months in the public outreach phases as we speak. And recently the council elected to make Ginsberg Development the preferred developer of the waterfront. And they will be moving forward now with the planning stages and more public outreach and more negotiating with the present landowners and business owners in the area where we've been talking about on the waterfront, on the eastern portion of the tracks. And it's going to be a many month period of outreach. And again, as the plan develops and goes to the Planning Commission for their review, more public outreach will be looked for at that particular point of the process as well. So we still have a long way to go, but it is moving forward now, and we're very excited about it. Everyone I run into and talks to me about it within the city are excited about it. So I think we have a very positive outlook for 2005 when it comes to the waterfront especially. And along with that, we've been recently informed by the state. One of the goals that I had with the waterfront plan in general was to preserve the Centennial Firehouse, which, for those of you who may not know, is right under the Central Avenue overpass, right across the street from the next item. I'm going to talk about the Lincoln train station, but it's a little firehouse that's from the 19th century that's been there for many years and has been abandoned for a number of years now. And it's a very historic part of our city. It's a very historic building in general. And that building cannot remain in its present location because of the work that will be done on the overpass in 2007. The New York State DOT, Department of Transportation, will be rehabbing all 4 of the bridges that are on Route 9 that are within the city of Peekskill. And that obviously is a big project, and that building will be in the way. So it will be moved and it will be preserved, and we've gotten the commitment from the state. GDC, our waterfront now developers, are also committed to preserving that building. So it will be preserved, it will be moved. Right now the preliminary location is across the street on the corner where the Danes lumber yard is right now. That business will be moved as well as part of the reconstruction of the waterfront. And we'll bring you that in more detail as time goes on. But the main point I want to bring out today is another historic building is going to be preserved for the citizens of Peekskill to enjoy and to preserve our history here. And we'll talk more about that as time goes on. I mentioned the Lincoln train station, which is a project we've mentioned many times over the last couple of years. Again, it was my goal to preserve that building, and we've been able to work out the purchase of that building. And now with the city in ownership of the building, it will be restored, and it will be, that whole property will be rehabilitated, and it'll be a beautiful place for our visitors to go as well as citizens to go. And we've just recently been informed this past week by the state that the Lincoln train station is now listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So that's a very important designation for us here, to have another building within the city designated on the National Register. So we're very proud of that, and it just really reinforces our whole goal here to promote our history and to preserve historic buildings. And this is just another one of those instances that we're going to be able to be proud of soon. The work will be started this spring. We have the architects on hand. Historically sensitive reconstruction plans are being made, restoration plans actually, and very soon the city will be going out to bid for contractors that will come in who are experienced in that type of work, and you'll see this spring that building start to be rehabilitated and restored. Along with that, the Lincoln Society in Peekskill, for those of you who may not know, we do have a very historic organization within the city. It's 101 years strong this year. It's the longest continually active Lincoln Society in the United States, and it was formed back in 1900 due to that whole historical stop that President-elect Lincoln made in 1861 on his way to his inauguration, and that spawned this whole Lincoln Society in Peekskill. I happen to be the president this year, which I'm proud to say, and on February 5th will be our annual dinner dance, and you'll be hearing more about that. Maybe some of you out there who have not attended and want to get involved with President Lincoln's memory and the Lincoln Society. It's a lot of fun, and if you want to get interested or if you want to come to the dinner dance, please contact me here at my office, 734-4105, and I'll be happy to get you the information. Also on the waterfront, we've passed a number of resolutions recently to accept grant money to move forward with the Annsville Trail segment, which is on the northernmost end of our waterfront. A year ago or so, we opened up the upper trail. You might recall that that project was done, and now we're moving forward with what's known as the lower Annsville Trail. Also, there's going to be a fishing pier out into the water, and there's going to be some other amenities down there that are going to be added. The road is going, the access road, which is right along the tracks, is going to be restored and rehabilitated, so it's going to be easier to traverse. There's going to be a parking area at the end of it, so you can go down to this new Annsville Trail area that we've been talking about, and by this summer, hopefully, it'll be complete, and you'll be able to go there on a daily basis and enjoy that area of the waterfront. It's a very quiet and peaceful area. Do a little fishing, do a little picnicking, and we'll be bringing that to you on a regular basis this spring and summer to give you updates on that as well. So that will be moving forward this spring. I've gotten a number of compliments over the last few weeks, especially about all the new lights going in on North Division Street, the new street lights, the historic acorn, I guess you would call them, acorn shaded street lights on North Division. The downtown has had them for a number of years, and in the center of town. And what we're trying to do now is expand the aesthetics of our downtown, expand the quality of what we offer in the downtown to a little bit outside of the central part of the business district. This project on North Division Street, as many of you know, the new sidewalks that went in, as part of that new sidewalk project, the areas were installed so we could put in the new lighting. And unfortunately, they were put in a little too late to get the holiday wreaths put on them. But next Christmas time, you're going to see not only those lights in the immediate downtown with the beautiful wreaths around them, you're going to see them all the way up North Division Street. And as the Main Street project moves forward this spring as well, the new construction along Main Street between City Hall and the center of town, those lots will have the new construction. The $8 million project we've been talking about will be started and underway. And when that project the construction is done, new sidewalks will be put in on Main Street with all new lighting there as well. So it'll be extending down Main Street. And our goal is to little by little expand our downtown aesthetics, reconstruct the sidewalks. We're going to be getting new crossing lights soon. So we're going to have really such a downtown that the atmosphere is so inviting as it is. We're going to have even more people want to come. The interest has really built in our downtown and our city in general, and we want to make sure that we have it in the perfect condition for people to come down. So we're going to be expanding, and we're going to be improving our downtown as well as the rest of the city in 2005. So another area to look forward to in the coming year. Also, earlier today, I was out at the Super Stop and Shop and our beautifully restored reconstruction of the Beach Shopping Center. And as part of coming into any community, the Stop and Shop Corporation likes to contribute to an organization within the city, and they had contacted me a while ago about suggestions of organizations to contribute to here in Peekskill. And the first on my list was the Senior Citizen Club here in Peekskill, a great bunch of people who have really paved the way for us here in our lifetime to enjoy Peekskill. And they do a lot for our community. They support the ambulance corps and other organizations within the community. They're very involved, and I thought that they would be a perfect organization, and Super Stop and Shop agreed. And we were out there earlier today to have that check presented to the members of the Senior Citizen Club. So let's go to that video now, too. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Super Stop and Shop here in the City of Peekskill. As you can see, I'm joined by a number of people today for a very important event. When Super Stop and Shop decided to come to Peekskill and they were ready to open, they asked me who could they donate a gift to in the City of Peekskill. They like to do that when they come to new locations, and they like to support the community. And first thought in my mind was the Senior Citizens Club here in the City of Peekskill, who are a great bunch of people who have been here many, many years, and I look up to greatly. And so they decided that's who they would give the donation to today. And just before we get any further, let me just introduce everyone who's here. Got Gary Cahill to my far right, who is the director of the nutrition program here in the City of Peekskill. Joy Seawalk from the Recreation Department. We got Fran Green, who's the president of the Senior Citizens Club. Henry Roberts, the treasurer. He's the one waiting for the check. Rose Amato from the Senior Citizens Club, and John and Kathy from the directors here of the Super Stop and Shop. And I'm going to let John say a few words about why they decided to do this and about what they do in terms of supporting the community wherever they are.
Yeah, hi. Pretty much everywhere Stop and Shop goes, new to the area, we are very into the community, and we reached out for Mayor Testa to see who would best benefit from our donation, and he said the Senior Club, and we are setting up a bus service to and from, and we're setting up a meeting next week, and we're going to set that up through West Point Tours, and that should be starting very shortly. And pretty much, I haven't seen a customer yet or heard from a customer yet that has said a bad word about our store. It is a beautiful facility. It's truly a super Stop and Shop, and very positive feedback from the customers that are coming into the building. So it's my honor and pleasure to, actually I'm going to pass the mic on to Kathy Farrar, who will do the donation of the check. Kath?
Thank you, John. Henry, on behalf of the Stop and Shop Company, I would like to present you this check of a donation of $1,000 to your Senior Citizen Club. And it was my pleasure for you to be our charitable organization for our grand opening. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the Senior Club and the City of Peekskill, it's my honor to accept this check from Stop and Shop. I assure you that it will be put to good use for our club. We do many things in the city. We help the city in every way. We run a lot of programs for the charities in the city and everything. And so this is a little bit of help to us. It helps some of our seniors when they go on trips. We can give them a little discount so that it don't cost them that much. And I'm very appreciative to John and to Kathy and to the whole Stop and Shop organization. And I wish them well in the City of Peekskill. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
So as you see, the Stop and Shop Corporation, again, is a great corporation to get involved with the community, and the seniors are always appreciative of their recognition, and every little bit we can to help our Senior Citizen Club, we do that, and we hope that check goes a long way for them in their coming year with their projects and their trips and their other plans that they have. From time to time, I like to point out how Peekskill is being mentioned outside of our city, and it's happening more and more, and the word is out that Peekskill is the place to be. And again, in this past Sunday's Times, December 26th Sunday Times, Peekskill was mentioned again, and it was mentioned in respect to the Paramount and in relation to other movie houses in Westchester within Pleasantville and Pelham. And we like to think that our Paramount was the model for these others. Our Paramount obviously doesn't just have movies, it has performances, it has other things going on with it. The school district uses it as well for their performances. So it's not just a movie house like these others that are mentioned. And Peekskill is mentioned prominently in the article, along with the Paramount itself, and how great of a place the Paramount is, how great the downtown has become in Peekskill, how diverse the businesses are down there, and how it's a place to come visit. So the New York Times is a very big publication, as we all know. It's sent out in many areas outside of the city. It's widespread, countrywide, And the Westchester section is something that is looked at within Westchester County and others, especially for places to go visit, maybe take a day trip or so. So hopefully this will bring even more people to the city. It's a great advertising, free advertising for the city. Again, our public relations and our economic development outreach has really done wonders for our city in the last couple of years. We have the Downtown Business Improvement District that we've been working very closely with, who have helped us get the word out also, the Chamber of Commerce and others. So it's all coming together, and to have the kind of mention that we have in the New York Times, it seems almost on a regular basis these days in terms of having Peekskill mentioned in the Times and other publications and being noticed, that something really we all should be proud of. So you might see some new people walking around town looking at the different shops that we have coming to the Paramount. The coffee shop is pictured in the Times as well, a very important and busy place here in downtown Peekskill. So we're going to keep working at it, and we're excited about all this attention we've been getting, and we're going to get more in 2005. And speaking of attention and our history, as we've been talking about, a great new book just came out. I just got my copy yesterday, actually. I got my copy at the Bruised Apple bookstore here in downtown Peekskill. It's called The Fleischmann Family, and it's a new book published by Christian Klieger, the author who, believe it or not, lives in California and did some research for his job in California on an island called Coconut Island, which is off of the Hawaiian Islands. And it happened to be an island that was originally owned by the Fleischmann Company, the Fleischmann family, I should say. And by him researching the history of the Coconut Island, which also happens to be the island that is shown on the Gilligan's Island TV show, the island that they use for the island that they filmed for the entry into Gilligan's Island, happens to be this Coconut Island. That was the reason that the research was begun initially by this author. And when he got into the research of Coconut Island, he realized the connection to the Fleischmann family, and then he started to get interested in the history of the Fleischmann family and the Fleischmann Company, and it developed into this book. And by the way, if you see the cover of this book, and there's a smaller picture inside I'll show you in a minute, this is a photo of a 1938 assembly line for yeast packing here in the city of Peekskill. So they actually used the Peekskill plant for the cover, a photo from the Peekskill plant for the cover. And again, I'll show you briefly here is Charles Fleischmann, who was the patriarch of the Fleischmann Empire, I guess we could say. He came here just after the Civil War from the Austrian Empire, which is now part of Czechoslovakia, I think, where he came from originally. Just after the Civil War, he came here with a little bit of knowledge on yeast making to begin with, and was disappointed in the bread making abilities in America compared to the Austrian Empire where he was from, and that kind of spurred his interest in creating the Fleischmann Company. And Charles Point, as we all know, where the Fleischmann plant was named after Charles Fleischmann. So those of you who did not know why Charles Point is called Charles Point is because of Charles Fleischmann. We had the Fleischmann Pier there that was built by the Fleischmann Company to bring the molasses and other raw materials into the plant. And it's all part of our history. Many of you have relatives or even watching could have been employees of the Fleischmann Company at one point. It closed in 1979. It was originally built in the year 1900. So for 79 years, it was a big part of Peekskill's history and employment, obviously, of Peekskill citizens. At its height, it had over 1,000, roughly 1,000 employees. And here's just a few pictures of, here's the construction of the plant at the top, and the postcard that many of you might have seen or have of the full Fleischmann factory once it was done. It was the second largest plant that the company owned, and Peekskill had it. Also, at the Peekskill plant, they expanded into other, because of the plant expansion, we're able to expand into other products. Royal Gelatin, as well as Chase and Sanborn Coffee was part of the company, Fleischmann Margarine, and Blue Bonnet Margarine as well. So, but they did create a lot of that here in the city of Peekskill. They had vinegar, they had gin, they had the yeast, obviously, and eventually the Royal Gelatin was a factory added on here in Peekskill. And again, just to show you a full shot of that photo that was used for the cover, 1938 assembly line of the yeast packing plant here in the city. So those of you who might want to pick up this book, you can see a few of the faces here of the ladies working on the assembly line. Maybe it's a relative or somebody you know. And if you do know who they may be, if you don't mind pointing it out to me, I'd be happy to bring it back up on another update and point out to the community that we did have a Fleischmann plant here, and we did have a very important employer here in the city of Peekskill up until the late 70s. Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish one of our citizens, or one of our, actually our heroes here in the city of Peekskill, who is now in Iraq, who recently went back to Iraq after a short time there earlier last year, Sean DeStefano, who happens to be a chaplain assistant in the Army. He's recently, this past week, was shipped back over there. He's stationed 8 miles west of Fallujah, and even though he's a chaplain assistant, he is in the combat zone. He is part of the combat army, and we want to wish him all the best, and all the families of people here in the city of Peekskill serving in Iraq and our military. We want to really wish you all our deepest thoughts and prayers. And recently, another young man, David Tracy, who was a student of mine at Peekskill High School, who recently came back from Iraq with a Purple Heart, by the way, recently told me he will be heading back there again this coming late winter, early springtime, possibly. So we want to wish him the best and his family the best. And as you might have heard in the last council meeting, Councilwoman Milagros Martinez's son is possibly going to be shipped out also this spring, which has her obviously concerned. And if you know of any other young men or women from our community of Peekskill who are serving or will be serving soon in Iraq, please let me know. I'd love to mention them on air. I think everybody should know the people that we have supporting our country, supporting our military and being part of it in Iraq and other places, actually. I'd love to know, and I'd like to be able to mention it publicly. They deserve our support. The families need our support. Our prayers, our thoughts are with you all. And as the new year comes, 2005, we will again hope that the minimizing of these efforts to send people over to Fallujah and other areas of Iraq diminish, and these elections that are scheduled to take place are successful, and the plan moves forward as was originally thought, and hopefully we can get our guys and girls back home as soon as possible. So we want to give you all our love, support, and prayers in the new year, 2005, to the families, to those who are serving. Peekskill is going to have a wonderful 2005, I feel. We have a lot on the table, a lot of projects moving forward. As you can see, anywhere you go within the city, something positive is happening. This spring will really spawn, and more will blossom throughout the city with the flowers coming up. You'll see other things happening throughout the city, and we're looking forward to a wonderful 2005. And I want to wish everyone in the city of Peekskill a happy, healthy, prosperous 2005, and enjoy your family, enjoy being in Peekskill, and we'll see you again in the new year. So thank you very much.